Anyway, hi there. I'm Loren and so excited to have you here. This is absolutely one of my favorite topics. Get paid what you're worth, how to increase your rates without losing clients. And what we're going to go ahead and focus on is really the fact that so many entrepreneurs that I speak with do meaningful work. They absolutely love what they do. They have a purpose. They want to make a difference for their clients. However, they don't see the value of their work and they end up settling for less. As I was doing some research, I came upon a statistic that absolutely just floored me. It said that up to 57% of service-based entrepreneurs tend to undercharge. That means that there is so much money that people are leaving on the table and that you don't have to do that anymore. It's just a matter of making a couple of tweaks and then things can start to change in your business as well as in your lifestyle. So if you are someone who is so tired of being expected to negotiate your rates, you feel like you're putting in a ton of hours, maybe you're overwhelmed and on the verge of burnout, or you know you can make more money, but you absolutely do what you do to help people and you don't like saying no to people, you really want to help everybody, or possibly you feel that there's a cost to success and you're not willing to pay that price. And because you're so busy, you have all of these great ideas, but you just don't have the time to be able to work on them and really grow the business in the way that you want to, then you are absolutely in the right place. I'm going to go ahead and really dig into things that are going to help you make some little tweaks, like I said. And my intention when I'm working closely with entrepreneurs is to help them double their income working half the time. And that's a little bit of what we're going to go into today. Basically, what I've seen is so much information is already available on the internet. But like I said, with primarily service-based entrepreneurs that are doing something from a purpose, they want to make a difference for their clients, they love to deeply serve, money is not the primary motivator for them. And that's actually a good thing. There's something else that's driving you. And when things get hard, it's really the entrepreneurs that are doing it for personal reasons of wanting to make a difference that are able to stick it out. Whereas the people that are just doing it for the money, they burn out, they get disillusioned, and then they jump on to something else. A lot of what we believe is in order to make more money, we have to just work harder. We have to get more clients. We have to spend more time. But when you do that, what I've seen, not only for myself, but for many of my clients, is you end up then having to sacrifice other parts of your life that you really deeply care about, whether that's time with your family, personal time, spiritual practices, self-care, whatever it is, those things start to kind of go on the back burner and they all of a sudden fall off the priority list because you're focusing on making money, taking care of your clients. And as a result, because you're probably a service-based entrepreneur, you're not doing as good a job of taking care of yourself as you could be. So I just want to show you that there's a way to be able to actually have that prosperous business and you work with ideal clients who value what you have to offer. Now, a little bit about me is, first of all, my accent. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York. I grew up in Miami Beach, Florida, and I now live in Southern Oregon. We came here because we wanted a better lifestyle and place to raise our family. Professionally, I'm a therapist turned business coach. I have seen really what helps to help people get out of their own way, connect with their value, and be able to do the things that they want to do without having to really compromise or feel like they're getting confused because people are telling them to do other things, but it's not really what they want to do. So I really know how to help people have that mindset, create the strategy, and be able to do the tactical steps to get them to where they want to be. But what I saw for myself was after working side by side with my husband, Steve, in our counseling agency, was I was on the verge of burnout. I was sacrificing a lot of time. I wasn't seeing my family as much, and I didn't want that anymore. So I started searching for something else, and that's when I became aware of business coaching. Absolutely love the fact that with business coaching, I got to focus on the potential and the solutions as opposed to only digging into the problems. But what I recognize for myself is that I'm really good at that thing that I do, helping people to achieve what they want. However, school didn't teach me how to do sales, marketing, or operate my own business. I was trained to be able to work for somebody else, not to be an entrepreneur. And that's what I really had to invest heavily in, is to figure out how to be able to market myself, who I wanted to work with, and how to be able to invite people to work closely with me when I didn't want to feel salesy. And that's a big part of what I see with the people that I connect with also, is they want to make a difference. They're absolutely fantastic at that thing that they do. But the whole sales and marketing piece is really just something that they rather would go away. And I totally get that. Over the years, I've had the opportunity to partner or connect with these different businesses, being able to speak on some of these stages. And I will say, when I first started out, I actually had a fear of public speaking. And I knew that speaking was a big part of what would make a difference for my business. So instead of just using it as an excuse to play small, I figured out how to be able to approach in a way that felt genuine and authentic for me, so that I can go ahead and follow through with the thing that I knew I wanted to do, which is be able to help entrepreneurs double their income working half the time. Anyway, what we're going to focus on is 5 steps to get paid what you're worth, 3 client attraction tips, and 4 things clients will happily pay for. Now, we have a short amount of time together. I plan for this to be about an hour long, and I will give you absolutely everything that I possibly can in this time we have together. And if you're interested in learning more on how to be able to connect and follow up with this, I'll be able to show you how to do that as well at the end of the webinar. But I want to just go in and get started with how to get paid what you're worth. And one of the things that I want to focus on before I even go into what this slide is about is the importance of realizing how you price your services is not a concrete black and white things. If you like things neat, orderly, and packaged, then pricing your service gets a little bit uncomfortable because there's no exact scientific formula. And let me give you an example. If you look at a bottle of water and you want to order a bottle of water with your lunch, you'll pay maybe $1 or $2. However, if you have been stranded in the desert for 3 days, the end is not in sight, you don't know where you are, and you are dying of thirst, and I show up with that same exact bottle of water, you might pay anywhere between $100 to $1,000 for that bottle of water. Now, the amazing thing is that the water itself, the content, the packaging, the labeling didn't change. It's the same thing. It's bottled water. But what did change is the desire, the want, and the need. And that's why pricing is flexible, because it's really connected to an individual's desire, want, and need more than anything else. And we'll go a little bit more into that in just a couple minutes. But with this slide, this is all about step number 1, and recognizing that you want to start with your superpower. And your superpower is really that thing that you do exceptionally well. It comes very, very easy to you. You might even overlook and discount it because it doesn't take that much effort. If you were doing that thing all day, every day, you would be in your sweet spot. Figure out what your strengths are, and that's what my clients effectually call their superpower. And really tune into that. The more you can develop your superpower and bring it into your business, then that's going to go ahead and start to add more value to how you help your clients. The next thing that starts to differentiate you and help you get paid what you're worth is recognizing that there's 2 commodities. There's time and money. Now with money, you can make it You can lose it, you can make it again. We've seen tons of people go from rags to riches and sometimes back to rags again. Look at lottery winners, that happens to them all the time. On the other hand, look at people that have highly successful businesses, went bankrupt, and then they started a new business that did even better than the first one. So the money part is flexible and fluid. You can have it, you can lose it, you can get it back again. Time, however, is a different type of commodity. As soon as you lose a moment, it's absolutely gone forever. As entrepreneurs, we tend to undervalue our time and we give away a lot more than is maybe in your best interest or potential clients' best interest. When you end up doing what most service providers do, is where they charge by the hour or the session, that means that you are connecting value to time. However, that's not the best way to really price your services, because as you gain expertise and you get better, you're going to be able to get that result faster than when you first started out and you didn't know some things. What you want to consider is you want to really price your services depending on the value that your clients receive, as opposed to how much time it takes. An example of that is looking at, if you wanted to go from LA to Las Vegas, you wanted to fly. Well, if you were going to make those airline arrangements 3 months in advance, you would get a great price and you would have really a nice choice of seat selection. However, if you have to get there tomorrow because there's an urgent meeting you have to be at, it's not going to happen any other time, and either you show up or you lose this potential opportunity, you're going to be paying first class prices to sit and coach, and you will be probably sitting in the middle seat between two other people. And it might be in the very back row next to the bathrooms. But because you have to be there tomorrow and it's a small window of opportunity, you have more urgency and need to make it happen. And therefore, the value of that seat goes up, as opposed to when you're looking at something 3 months out and you have a wider selection to choose from. What this means is when you connect your fees to time, you become an expense in the eyes of your clients. Whereas when you connect your fees to value and outcome, you're seen as an investment and your clients stop watching the clock. When they stop watching the clock, that means that if they have a question, they're more likely to reach out to you and engage in you because they see you as a resource. Then it's just going to cost them more money and the bill is going to be that much higher. Start to think about what would change if you connected your fees to your value and helping your client achieve a result or an outcome, as opposed to how much time it took. So that's number 2, is separating fees from time. Number 3 is that success is messy. That means that sometimes you have to roll up your sleeves and you get your hands dirty. An example is when I first start talking with people that have businesses, and I would ask, consider by the end of this webinar, you had to double or triple your fees. What are some of the thoughts that are coming up for you in your head? What is some of the pushback that I'm going to be getting? Nobody will pay for this. Who can afford it? I'll lose clients. Who am I to be doing that? I don't have enough years in the business or training or credentials. All this stuff comes up. And as a result, you postpone getting paid what you're worth because you overthink it. You don't want to rock the boat. You hate conflict. You don't want to disappoint people, or you don't recognize your value. You don't think that you have what it takes to really help your clients achieve that result. And if you charged more, they would have greater expectations from you. So this is really about the mindset piece and recognize that success is absolutely messy. However, no matter what you do, I know that there is someone else out there who is absolutely killing it. and they're able to double or even triple their profits compared to you, and they might not even be as good as you. They just have a better connection to their worth, as well as to what their clients want and need and how to make that connection for them. So absolutely, success is messy. Number 4 is really looking at how do you stand out as the go-to expert? If you look at the most successful entrepreneurs in almost any category, most of them have a step-by-step system. Just recently, I was talking with an entrepreneur, and one of the things I will do is spend a session with them figuring out what their system is. And this particular person was saying to me, Loren, I don't have a system. It just kind of comes to me. I just do this thing. And my clients are asking me all the time, well, how does that work? And I'm like, I just do it. I don't really know. And my response to her is, well, you absolutely have a system. You probably go through the same thing over and over and over again with each of your clients, but you never really gave it any thought as to what that system was. What we did next is I got out a whole bunch of sticky notes. I asked this entrepreneur, when you meet with a client the first time, what happens? And then what do you do next? And then what happens after that? And what other things might be the next step that you take? And out of that, we were able to actually discover what her system was. When you define a system, that starts to separate you from everybody else who's offering a step-by-step thing. It actually starts to position you as that expert. And being able to say, well, first we do this, and then we do this, similar to the 5-step system that I'm going through with you right now, where I talked about the fact that you had to start with your strengths, separate fees from time, success is messy. We're on number 4 now, which is stand out as the go-to expert. What happens by having that is I can now use this in my marketing. I can use this when I give presentations. It actually creates the foundation of almost everything I do. If a client wants to know, how does it work? I can go through the different parts of my 5-step system and explain what they can expect from each and every piece of that. Therefore, it really helps you articulate how you help your clients achieve a result. And because of that, it takes it from something organic or abstract that they can't wrap their mind around, and they think that this is going to be a long, drawn-out, painful process. And it makes it finite. They can picture each step in their mind. And by being able to picture each step in their mind, they're able to see how you are the exact perfect person to help them achieve that result. So you absolutely want to figure out how to define your system. It starts to separate you from everybody else who's offering a similar outcome or service as you are. And then number 5 is solve a need. It's going to either be 2 things when people are coming to you. Either they're going to want you to fix a problem, or they're going to want you to help them achieve a result that they're unable to achieve on their own. When you look at these 2 options of fixing a problem or achieve a result, 75% of the people coming to you are going to want you to help them fix a problem. Most people, and it's really unfortunate, but most people are motivated by pain than by pleasure. Think about when something happens and it didn't quite work out as you planned. You're going to focus on that one thing that went wrong, that big mistake, and you're going to overlook and discount maybe the 5 things that went really, really well. We're wired as a matter of survival in our brains to really focus on things that fail, where we make mistakes, because it just helped us survive and not be eaten for lunch by some dinosaur. And we continue to actually function that way, where pain continues to be the main primary motivator as opposed to pleasure. So realize they'll either want you to fix a problem or achieve a result. Most of your potential clients want you to fix a problem. And this was someone that I ended up working with actually for 2 years. When we first started talking about working together, he's an accounting professional, and he was saying, you know, Loren, I want to be able to do this. We've known each other for a long time, but I'm in the process of getting ready to buy a building, and I don't know if I can afford working with you right now. We discussed the options that he had available to him and recognized that absolutely buying a building was important and it was a really big investment. But part of what I was able to point out to him was that he was going into either or thinking. He was believing that either he can buy the building or he could work with me. My mind doesn't tend to work that way. I really want to find the and. How can you possibly buy the building and work with me? And that's the discussion that we had. And because that discussion, he went ahead and signed on and worked with me. And then 8 months later, he bought the building that his office was in. And in fact, he's actually in the process of buying a second building. So I just want to say that instead of thinking that you have to do this or you can do that, there's a way to find the and so that you can do both and be able to really move forward in a way that works for you, supports you, and really helps you to offer a better service to your clients, but also supports your lifestyle and your other parts of your life that you really care about. So we're going to go ahead and move on to those client attraction tips. Now, there's two primary types of entrepreneurs: the ones who are generalists and the ones who are specialists. If you were to have chronic back pain, you've been to many, many people, you've been suffering with this for a long time, you're unable to pick up your kids any longer, you can't go on long drives because you end up paying the price the next week or so with your back being out. And it's really started to affect you professionally as well as personally. Would you go to a generalist or a specialist? Now, most people in that situation would choose a specialist. But if you're going to go to a specialist, will you then choose that specialist based upon price or expertise? And at that point, most people that I know that are choosing that specialist because their back has really affected their life professionally as well as personally, they're focusing on expertise. They want the best doctor that they could possibly get to really help them resolve their back issues. The thing that I find confusing is, why do entrepreneurs do it differently? Why do they resist specializing and instead they want to be a generalist? They want to serve everybody. Many entrepreneurs that I talk with are afraid of choosing a specific niche, because what if there's this one potential client over here in this category and I'm talking about another category, and now they're not going to realize that I can work with them or help them. I might miss out on that. That's exactly true. That might happen. However, when you look at specialists versus generalists, specialists tend to be able to charge more. Also, with the way that you're able to find the value in how you help your clients, it's about shifting away from being the technician in your business to being a resource. As you continue to work with one particular niche, you become more aware of things. You gain that expertise that you didn't have when you work with everybody. As a result of that, that has value in the eyes of a potential client when you know their particular issue, their problem so deeply that you can help them get solutions faster instead of having it be a long, drawn-out process because you haven't really gone there before. Recognize that there's actually value to speed and expertise. And if you're resisting it, what is the reason why? A lot of times it's a fear of missing out. So you're coming from maybe a scarcity mentality as opposed to an abundance mentality where there's more than enough. So just be aware of where you're at with things and what would change for you if you actually decided to focus on a particular type of client? Is there a particular thought that you would have to let go of? Or is there a particular way that you would be able to structure your business to attract that particular client to you? I want to be able to just go a little bit more into the client attraction tips. So the first tip is really connecting with your value. Your value goes back to those superpowers I was talking about. It's the things that are easiest for you. You could do them all day, every day. And the other part about value that I see with a lot of people is that we don't like to brag or bring attention to ourselves. We don't want people to think that our ego is involved and that we're the greatest thing since sliced bread. I totally get that. But with connecting with your value, it's coming from a place of educating how you make a difference for your potential clients because you have this particular skill set or gift. And you're coming from a place of showing them how you can help them either relieve that pain or achieve that result. So it's not about bragging. It's not about bringing attention to yourself in a way that feels out of integrity. It's more of coming from a place of education. And when you do that, then potential clients are able to say, oh, I get that. You absolutely can help me, and I'd like to be able to talk further with you. Once again, figure out what your value is, your superpower, and really start to hone in on educating potential clients about why that differentiates you from everybody else. After value, what you really want to look at is asking great questions. When someone meets you for the first time, you might be a consultation with them or having some type of discovery session with them. Asking great questions is something that a lot of people, when they're first trying to enroll someone into their programs or working with them, actually don't do. They come with the attitude of, I want to tell you as much about myself as I possibly can. I need to pitch you. I need to be able to enroll you. Maybe I need a client right now because I have to pay the bills. And they're focusing on themselves. That actually is a disservice and it's going to really push potential clients away from you. And that's because I really believe that you need to earn the right to talk about your services. And the only way to earn the right is to really find out about that potential client's desires, needs, and wants first. It's by knowing what you specialize in, how you help your particular clients, and asking questions that are aligned with their needs, figuring out what their wants are, their desires, how you might be able to be of service to them. Do that first. That helps to actually quickly develop rapport and connection. And if you do a really great job of asking the right questions, you never, ever will have to sell again because the questions will help this potential client see the value of what you have to offer. And they're going to ask, how does this work? How can you help me? And then that opens up the gates to being able to talk about how you might be able to help them and work closely together. Figure out what are those great questions that your clients need. And when my clients learn how to ask those questions, and there's usually like 5 different categories of questions you want to focus on, and they figure out how to be able to adapt those questions to their service and what they do, it changes everything where they never, ever have to sell again. It comes more as an invitation to work closely together than anything where you're ever feeling salesy. So what would your great questions be? And then the third thing you want to do, and this is really uncomfortable for a lot of entrepreneurs, is you want to practice asking for payment to have a potential client get started working with you. What I find is I don't like chasing money. It takes a lot of time. It's frustrating. It's not something I enjoy doing. And in order to be able to stop chasing money, it meant that I had to become comfortable with explaining what my services are, showing the value, and how to be able to start working together. And that meant discussing the payment, the fees, and what the investment was. When you're able to get comfortable asking for payment, then something changes. It means that when you get to this part, there's not a disconnect between you and your client. And maybe you've witnessed this or experienced this for yourself. But what I mean is, maybe about 7, 8 years ago, when I was first figuring out how to be able to talk about my services, enroll clients, had the whole payment and programs discussion, what I realized is I absolutely loved getting to know them, asking questions, developing that relationship. But the part about the programs and how to be able to make that investment and getting payment, really uncomfortable for me. It created a disconnect. And suddenly that rapport that I had built up when I was asking questions just went away. And now my tone changed, my the rhythm of my voice changed a little bit, and it created a disconnect. And I didn't like that, because all of a sudden I felt like I was not being genuine or authentic when I was talking about my programs, even though I knew that they made a great difference for my clients and they really helped them. And I really pondered what was going on. And I realized that what was happening for me is when I was asking them questions, it was all about them. And then when I started talking about working with me, my focus changed to me. And it became all about me, about wanting a new client. Maybe I had some bills to pay that month and I could use the money. Maybe I thought that this client would be really fun and I wanted to be able to work with them. Whatever it was, but it became about me. And that's where the disconnect happened. Because of that, I had to figure out how to be able to come from that place of service and being able to discuss what I offer was being a value add and a service, and it was still about them as opposed to me. Once I was able to figure that out, then I stopped having that disconnect and leaving these conversations feeling really yucky, like I had to take a shower. And this is probably what's happening with you too, because people get uncomfortable with talking about their services and asking for money. And potential clients pick up on that. They can feel the energy shift also, and it's something that is confusing for them because there was such great rapport and now it's broken. Being able to figure out how to come in from a place of service is a game changer. So it's an advanced move of being able to stay present for your clients and not being attached to their decision or letting them sense that you might desperately need a client. And what I would suggest is really practice this. Practice just going through the dialogue yourself of how you would do it. Maybe practice this with a close, trusted friend or a partner that you could try this out with. And the more that you get comfortable talking about how it would be to work together, what the investment is, being able to receive the money so they can get started, the easier it's going to be, the more it's going to feel genuine, authentic, and come from a place of service. It absolutely takes practice though, because there's two types of people in sales. One is the nurturer and one is the hunter. The nurturer absolutely loves developing the relationship and connecting with the client. The hunter, they love going for the kill and seeing the numbers in their bank account add up. The nurturing part actually bores them. But you need to do both in order to be able to enroll clients. So if you're a nurturer, there's a way to stay present and coming from a place of service when you're talking about the money piece. And if you're a hunter, then recognize that it's really important to develop rapport, because once the sale is made, you don't turn your back on that client. You want to be able to have this be a continuing, ongoing relationship where they feel like they really matter. So get really comfortable with going through both parts of the process and asking for payment. And this is someone that I worked with who is a nurse practitioner. And as a nurse practitioner, absolutely devoted to making a difference for her clients. So asking for help is a really difficult thing for her. she wants to help others. She doesn't want to ask for help. She's used to putting her stuff on a back burner. But because of that, what happened is, even though she was a solo practitioner and she was working with everybody, her practice actually became a grind. She was working many hours. She was working with a lot of clients that she didn't really enjoy working with. And it wasn't fun or enjoyable for her any longer. She shifted away from her purpose. And as a sole practitioner, she wasn't even sure if we could work together. She's like, aren't I too small for a business coach? And we talked about that. And I showed her that it wasn't about how big or small her business was. It was the fact that she wanted to make a difference. And she was thinking about really closing her practice because it was creating burnout. So once we decided to start working together, what we focused on was finding her ideal client. And her ideal client happened to be young women, teens, tweens, and young 20s. She loved helping these young women become adults that were very comfortable with who they were, their bodies, and really taking excellent self-care. And her practice, though, was filled with a lot of women that were middle-aged. They had hormonal problems. Some of them were going through menopause. And not that women at that age are good or bad, nothing wrong with that, but those weren't her clients. That wasn't who she worked best with. As a result of that, we started restructuring in order to be able to really focus on attracting those teens, tweens, and young 20s. And then after we started doing that and shifting some of her messaging around and where she's able to make a difference for them and how she can really help them with getting through that part of their life, we then looked at her schedule and taking control of her agenda, because she was all over the place. Like I said, she was working 5 days a week. She was working really long hours between seeing a full caseload of clients and then being able to do paperwork afterwards for insurance billing. What we did is we actually streamlined her calendar to where she was able to see her patients over 2.5 days. We figured out how to change her appointments in order to do her notes for her patients right after a patient appointment. We built that in. And then we left another 1.5 days for her to do some of the administrative things in order to be able to do billing and other things for remaining in compliance. As a result of that, this nurse practitioner actually ended up doubling her income and cutting her hours almost in half. Because of that, she started loving her work again. It wasn't a grind where everything felt very vanilla and she was on the verge of burnout. But the other thing that happened is she started skydiving. She started going to marathons, training for triathlons, being very, very active and doing things that she enjoyed doing, but she stopped doing because she just didn't have the time, the energy, or the desire. And another thing that came out of that is because she started working with people that she loved, and she was able to free up time on her calendar to take care of herself too, it actually rekindled her marriage. Her husband and her were going in 2 different directions. He was finishing up a postdoctorate degree and she was working long hours. But because she was getting more engaged and it livened up her life, it livened up their marriage also, where she had more time to spend with them. They started traveling together. And one of the things that she told me after we finished working together was that this was one of the best years of her entire adult life. And that happened specifically because we went ahead and changed her entire business model. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, burned out, you're wondering if this is even worth it because you're making so many sacrifices, I want to let you know that it absolutely can be fixed. You don't have to suffer. And sometimes being able to figure out how to fix it yourself creates more frustration. It takes more time and it's costly because you're losing out on opportunities just because you don't have the capacity to take on any more. Let's go into number 3, which is those 4 things that clients happily pay for. The very first thing is Clients want the solution or the fix to be easy. And it's about figuring out how you can make it easy for them. And I'll go through all this in one moment, but let me just give you the overview. So they want it to be easy. They want it to be quick. We're living in a society of immediacy. People want things to happen now. They don't want to wait for things to be long, drawn out, 5 or 10 years down the road. It's like quicker has value. It's similar to people when they need to deliver a package. People go ahead and pay maybe double or triple fees for something to be overnighted as opposed to waiting for a standard delivery, which would take 5 to 7 days. So think about the fact that doing something quicker has a lot of value. They want to know how it's going to save them money. And they also want to know how it's going to make them money. Let me give you an example on how your service can actually be seen as being easy, quick, save them money, and make them money. Let's first go with if you're doing a softer service like healthcare, massage, and I'm just going to go with a massage therapist for being a little bit more specific. Okay, you're a massage therapist. You have someone come to you that has that back issue that we were talking about, chronic back pain, and they've been having to give up things that they used to enjoy doing. How is your service as a massage therapist going to be quick, easy, save them money, and make them money? Well, it's going to be quick because they don't have to learn how the tendons work or where to release things or how to focus on pressure points or where the knots might be and what to do with things. Or when they have lower pain in their back, it might be something in their hamstrings. They don't have to figure out how physiology works to be able to get relief. You've already studied that for years. You know exactly how to be able to relieve back pain because that's what you've been doing for a really long time now, and that's what your focus is. How is it going to be easy? Well, if you have chronic back pain and you're going to a massage therapist, all you have to do is lay on the table. It doesn't get any easier than that. You lay on the table and your massage therapist does all the work for you. How does it save you money? If you have this chronic back pain, you might try a lot of different things. You might try different products. You might try remedies. You might go to specialists. You might be going to classes or doing exercises or investing in chairs that are more ergonomic. You might be investing a lot of money to relieve your back pain and finding that you might get a little bit of relief here or you might get temporary relief there, but nothing really resolves the back pain for the long term. But you've realized that this particular massage therapist, she's really good at what she does. She came highly recommended. And instead of trying all these different things and getting from no results to minimum results, you can go to her and you're walking away actually seeing some relief immediately. So that's how it saves you money. Is you don't have to try all these different things. You just have your go-to person and you lie on the table, your massage therapist does her thing, and then you're good to go. Well, then how does a massage therapist help make you money? If you had really chronic back pain where you couldn't go to specific meetings because you couldn't drive for that many hours, or you couldn't fly and sit in an airline seat for that many hours, and now your pain has been resolved, or you know how to stretch out your back afterwards because you got certain exercises, then you're going to be able to take advantage of certain opportunities that you couldn't take advantage of professionally. Or if you know that when your back goes out, you go to this particular person and she can give you immediate relief, that means that when you are working, you have better energy, you're more present, and you can actually accomplish more because you're feeling better, as opposed to when you have a lot of pain, it takes away your energy, you're moving at a slower pace, and you're not quite as sharp or present for your clients as you would be when you're feeling really good. So that's how going to someone who has a softer service like a massage therapist makes it quick, easy, saves money, and makes money for a potential client. How does this work if you do B2B? Let's say bookkeeping. Okay, you have someone that comes to you, a business owner, and How is it quick? Well, you've done all the training where you know how to use QuickBooks if that's the particular model that they're using, or that's the model that you have used. You can get them set up on QuickBooks. You are able to go ahead and teach them some of the apps that they might need also for better reporting or monitoring. You know how to do that because you've already gone through all the training and have all the certifications to be able to help them with that. So that's how it's going to be quick, is they don't have to learn how to use QuickBooks from step by step or do research on which is going to be the best app for tracking mileage or being able to track their receipts. You can help them figure that out really quickly because you already do that all day, every day. How it's going to be easy? Well, they just need to hand over their books to you. They need to give you access to maybe their bank account, view-only access to credit card statements, possibly give you their receipts that they have, get them scanned and sent to you. And once they do that, you just then can start to do the work of figuring out where the money leaks are, where they can maybe forecast for growing their business, and really help them with that. But the bottom line is they don't have to do the data entry and the input any longer. They can just have you do it, which frees them up to work on their business. How does this save them money? Well, a lot of entrepreneurs that are doing their own books, they really don't know the intricacies of some things. And maybe they haven't reconciled for years. They think that just reconciling at the end of this month is reconciling, but the money doesn't really match up that cleanly. And they haven't gone back the last 5 years and actually reconciled. So there's some things that are just like black holes and gaps. They're not getting accurate information. Or it could be that they transposed a particular number and it is just throwing everything off, and they don't know how to do forensics. So you are saving them money by going back and being able to fix those things. That way they're getting accurate numbers and accurate reports. They're also maybe figuring out where there's redundancy because of the information that you're giving them. And how are you helping them make money? Well, you're helping them make money because if there's any redundancy or money leaks, you're able to help them find that and close those gaps. You're helping them make money also because they're not spending 8 hours a day, once a week on doing the data entry. They're just giving you the information and you're doing all that automatically or with QuickBooks so that they can then spend more time growing their business or possibly working on their business or serving their clients. So that's how you're able to not just save them money, but help them make money also. So once again, those 4 things that clients absolutely value is they want it to be quick, easy, save them money, and make them money. And this applies to a source service as well as more of a business-to-business service. And I was working with a client who was a loan officer, and with him, he had a team. He was already moving in the right direction. And what I found with him is he was wondering how we can make it work because he was already too busy managing his team. And what we focused on is the fact that this particular loan officer is a really, really nice guy. Because of that, he had an open door policy. He said yes to everybody and everything because he didn't like disappointing people or letting people down. He was holding on to things that he could have delegated because he had an entire team. And what we did is we focused on setting boundaries and not having an open door policy, because an open door policy, when you're focusing on things that take a lot of concentration, actually break your concentration, and you might never regain that level of concentration again, or if you do, it might take 20 or 30 minutes to actually do that. So you're actually wasting a lot of time. So we set some boundaries. We looked at how to be able to manage his calendar effectively in order to focus on times when he was doing client meetings, networking, getting out and talking to referral sources, and chunking those together. And then the things that took concentration, we were putting those things together also. And there were some certain times that were when he did his best work. And we put some things in those times for when he was able to get those really important projects taken care of, because that's when he was sharpest. We looked at those things, and as a result of the work that we did together, with him being able to shift from being a manager that was micromanaging to more of a leader, he went up to being nationally ranked as one of the top 1% of loan originators, and he's currently number 6 in the county. Now, and I'm sorry, number 6 in the country. The reason that this is so important is because he lives in a relatively small county of about 210,000 people. And with that small of a region of 210,000 people, he's actually number 6 in the country. And that's because he's really focused on his value, how he can really best serve his clients, and how he as a leader could lighten his load. And that was what allowed him to really grow his team and shift away from being caught up in working in the day-to-day parts of his team, of his business, to really being focused on growing his business and bringing more business in, which is where his value was. It means that it doesn't matter whether you work in a small community or a large one. It's about how you approach your business that makes a difference. So we went ahead and covered those 5 steps to get paid what you're worth, 3 client attraction tips, and 4 things that clients happily pay for. And if you feel that this is something that would absolutely make a difference for you, you know you're busy, you're working with everybody, and there's some clients you're holding on to, and you know that you would be better off not working with them any longer because they're not an ideal fit. You just don't know how to do that. You want to be able to increase your income, but you don't want to spend more time working because you're already at capacity, and there's other parts of your life that are important to you. If you feel that you are ready to really follow your mission because you want to make a difference and you've been playing small for too long and you've been overthinking things and getting in your own way, then I set aside 5 complimentary Grow Your Ideal Business Strategy sessions to be able to have a further conversation about where you're at with your business right now, where you would like to be, what are some of the obstacles, and what are some of the opportunities. If you're an entrepreneur who absolutely is someone who invests in yourself, whether it's more time learning a skill, whether it's an investment of continuing to gain more expertise and mastery, of one is separate yourself from everybody else and really looking at how other knowledge, programs, resources can help advance your business and really make that difference, then go ahead and go to businesssuccesssolution.com/let's talk. Once again, it's businesssuccesssolution.com/let's talk. Fill out the application and the questions that are there. And if you are one of those 5 people that qualify, I will go ahead and send you an invitation for us to connect and to talk further about what it is that you see as your ideal business, what are some of the things that you want to achieve, and how we can go ahead and make that happen. So if this speaks to you, if you feel that what we talked about resonated with you and you want to take it to the next level of being able to double your income working half the time because you want a business that supports your life instead of one that sucks the life out of you, then once again, go to businesssuccesssolution.com/let's talk. Fill out the questionnaire. I will get in touch with you. It's going to be first come, first serve. If you don't respond within 3 days, I will absolutely move on to the next person on the list. So don't wait, make it happen. And I look forward to hearing what you're doing, where you want to go, and how to have a business that supports your lifestyle. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.